to the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show. Fall is a perfect time to run through a checklist of things to review to be sure your home is ready for the cooler months that are coming our way. So whether you're a new or an existing homeowner, the time is right to get up, get out, and do some important reviews and maintenance to your home to protect your investment and avoid future repairs. And then, are you preparing to sell your home and find you have furniture that you no longer use? Well, we often talk here about decluttering and encourage sellers to do so before putting their home on the market. But once you take the time and effort to identify the furniture you no longer need, well, now what? The good news is we've got a great option that not only helps you move out the pieces you no longer use, but does a whole lot of good for other people. Joining us today are going to be Pam Belante, Marketing Director with REMAX of Southeastern Michigan, and Robert Boyle, the Executive Director of the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan. All this is coming up next on the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show here on 760 WJR. You are listening to the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show. I'm your host, Jeanette Schneider. We know that it's fall, and at this time it signals all things pumpkin spice, and many of us enjoy getting out some cozy sweaters as well. But fall's also an important time to take care of home repairs and maintenance to prepare your home now for the colder months coming ahead. And right now we still have some daylight and temperatures that make getting outside, a little more easy. So whether you're a new homeowner or an existing homeowner, grab your favorite pumpkin spice product and let's get ready to do a fall checklist on your home. And here to talk with me more about that is Pam Belante, the Marketing Director for REMAX of Southeastern Michigan. Welcome to the show again, Pam.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me.
Well, my pleasure. So we're in fall, but we're still having some decent temps, and we've got some daylight hours. At least, on the weekends, we've got a full slate of daylight hours to get outside and do some handiwork. One of the first things that you're going to say folks should pay attention to is the gutters. Why is this important?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're not on top of your clogged gutters, you're just going to be asking for water damage. So remember, the purpose of a gutter is to carry water away from your home, away from your foundation, right? To a nice, safe, good, dry drainage area, neutral drainage area, right? If your gutters are not cleaned, materials and debris are just going to kind of clog up your gutters. What does that mean? It means water's not going to have anywhere to go. It's just going to overflow onto your foundation. It's going to leave you with perhaps leaks in the roof, water in the basement.
And that all signals dollar signs.
And that signals dollar signs, absolutely.
Well, because, and you mentioned it, is the reality of it is the gutters are draining away thousands of gallons of water really from our home, each and every year. And they really need some TLC. And it's one of those things that's kind of out of sight. We don't pass it at eye level every day. So they're kind of out of sight and out of mind. So they do want to focus on it. And the other thing is, if you do it now, right now, there's still a lot of leaves on trees. Yeah. And so especially in your neighborhood, you may need to do this again in November once leaves are really down to keep that clear.
To keep it clear. Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the most important, it may not be the most fun job, but it is an important job, right?
Yeah, you really do have to do it. And as long as you're comfortable getting up on a ladder, it's relatively easy. You just get up on your ladder, scoop out the debris, rinse it with a hose. That simple.
Yeah, so we don't need a lot of special products for this
right,
one.
Right.
Well, and since you have the ladder out and we're up near that roof, probably should get up there and check the chimney. So what are we looking for up there?
Yeah, so when you're up there, you want to look for any damage. Are there any loose or broken joints, damaged flashing or shingles? If there are, you want to fix those now. You want to take care of those. Anything loose or damaged is just an invitation for water to get in there, and then with the temperatures, freezing and thawing, that's just going to lead to more damage.
Well, and if you're going to pick up a theme on this here, is we're trying to save you money, because anything not addressed now, and left unattended, right, especially as we get into winter and you're dealing with water, rain, snow, ice, freezing, melting, is just going to cost you more down the road.
Right.
Another thing while you're up there is to check and make sure the flue cap is properly in place. This also prevents critters from entering your chimney, and I speak from experience on this one. So you definitely want to make sure that small animals that are looking for a cozy home don't find it in your chimney.
Right.
Anything else that they should be looking for on the roof?
On the roof, yeah. Take a look at your shingles, especially if there's been, recently been hail or heavy winds, some type of storms. They can do a lot of damage to your roof and to your shingles. So look for anything that's out of place, missing, dislodged, flipped around. If they've been punctured, if there's broken edges, and again, you want to get those fixed.
Well, and I think if you have any doubts about about this. I mean, I think a lot of folks can recognize something that doesn't look right, but if you have any doubts, it's always a good idea to call a professional. I think another really great way to kind of have a signal of maybe, hey, I really better get up there and take a look is if you're noticing a lot of that shingle residue, those crystals, on the ground, around patios, decks, sidewalks, however your home is laid out, if you're sweeping that up consistently, you probably have an issue up there that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've been talking about cleaning gutters because of the water damage that they can cause, getting up on the roof to make sure we don't have missing shingles, things of that nature. Something else, keeping in the water, kind of realm, folks should be addressing the hoses and the sprinkler systems, right?
Yeah. Actually, this is a good time to get those sprinklers blown out. Chances are there's even trucks driving around the neighborhoods right now doing this. You can usually flag them down.
Saw one the other day.
Yes, the other day. Actually, our company actually calls our house to remind us.
Good customer service.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you need to take care of that. This is a good time to do that.
Alrighty. And one more thing I think to deal with on the water in the exterior is, once maybe you have had your sprinkler system blown out, you want to shut the water off to those exterior faucets. And then, store the hoses, so they don't crack. And maybe put one of those little, there's probably a better word for it than a muffler, but kind of the little insulator cup over the top of that so that you're kind of preventing things from freezing from that perspective as well. Mm-hmm. Now, staying with the outside, many of us have outdoor furniture and tools, and these may not run top of mind when we start talking fall maintenance for a home, but there are some things we can be looking for on these items too.
Again,
right?
I think, saving yourself some aggravation in the future, make sure that you clean that furniture before you store it. That way, a couple things, it kind of keeps it in better shape and it's ready to use in the spring. When you pull it out, you don't have to worry about cleaning it then,
Because everybody's in a rush in the spring to get out and use it. Nobody wants to stop and take the time to clean.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and so the other thing is outdoor furniture. I know we've got black walnut trees in our neighborhood and the animals love to eat those on my furniture and ruin cushions if I don't take care of that. So after a short break, we're going to continue our fall home maintenance tips, move a little more on the inside of the house. And then we have a solution for you if you've got furniture like beds and dining tables that you no longer need and you're looking where they can go to next and maybe who can pick them up. We've got a local nonprofit that can help you remove these items from your home. We've got all the details. And remember, if you're ever looking for more tips and information, just go to REMAX, realestateinsights.com, click on the Explore Articles box, and there we've got our blog with all sorts of information for you to use at any time. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show coming up here on 760 WJR. Welcome back to the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show. Cider mills, corn mazes, football games, all of these things signal it's fall, and we want you to enjoy all of these with a peace of mind, knowing that your home's been checked out and it's ready for the cooler weather that's going to be coming. I'm your host, Jeanette Schneider, and with me once again is Pam Belante. She is the marketing director for REMAX of Southeastern Michigan, and we're talking fall home maintenance tips. So we've been talking a little bit, we did a lot of water topics first. We talked about cleaning gutters, checking out shingles, blowing out systems, making sure that we're getting water out of pipes, out of our home, and stuff like that. Before we leave and go inside, is there anything else we should be focusing on the outside?
Yeah, think about dead branches and limbs in your trees. It's a good time to trim them out if you do find them. Chances are winter wind and ice is going to bring them down anyways, but if you take the time to remove them yourself, you could prevent, future damage either to your property or to your tree.
Or somebody else's property. Now you got a problem with the neighbors. And it's also, I think, a good time to take a walk around the home and honestly, just look for small holes, little gaps, little cracks, because chipmunks and mice and other animals, they don't need a lot to get in.
To fit in, yeah.
And trust me, it's a lot easier to clog holes now and keep them out to start with than try to kick them out once they become a resident. So you definitely want to do that as well.
Yeah.
And you had something about outdoor lighting too.
Yeah,
right?
Another thing to do is, check your outdoor lighting because unfortunately the daylight hours are getting, shorter. So chances are we're all going to be using our outdoor lighting more. So, take a walk around your house, make sure that lights on your porches, deck, garage, all that, they're in good working condition. Replace your light bulbs if you need to. And also, make sure it's clean. Make sure your lights are clean so all the maximum light does shine through your lights.
Well, and as we have you walking around the house looking for small holes and checking out your lights, I guess the last thing to take a look at would be any exterior railings, your sidewalk, the stairs. If something's, needs a little bit of fixing, better to do it now before the holidays come. You've got everybody coming over for Thanksgiving or Christmas and the railing's a little wobbly or there's kind of uneven pavement. Let's get that fixed now so you don't have to worry about it when it's colder. So air conditioning in the unit that sits outside, we wouldn't think about that on a fall maintenance chip. We want to talk more about furnaces, but we should be paying attention to that as well,
Yeah,
right?
that needs a little TLC too. So, experts do recommend that you hose off your unit, get rid of any, debris, bird droppings, that type of thing, and then allow it to dry. And then once it's dry, that go ahead and cover it up, with a vinyl cover, plastic cover, to protect it, from ice and water getting in there during the winter, and to make sure it doesn't blow off, just wrap a bungee cord around it and you're good to go.
So you don't have to be that neighbor running down the street looking for chasing your cover. So we've covered the outside of the house pretty well. Let's move inside for a little bit. And the weather, as it's gotten a little cooler, I think some furnaces are starting to kick on.
Yes.
I can only speak for myself, but I know I like that thing to hum nicely the minute that I need it. So what do we need to be looking at here to make sure furnaces do work well?
Yeah. So, I agree. The furnace is a perfect place to start. You want to start with your filters. So make sure that you have your filters replaced and make sure that you open up all the vents around your house so that the heat is circulating throughout your home properly.
And I want to piggyback on that because that's something that I think there are some maybe misconceptions about, is that to save money, I'm going to shut the vents to some of the rooms that, folks don't use all that much. Maybe it's like the half bath that doesn't get used much or a spare bedroom. And I get it. Logically, it makes sense. Why heat a room I'm not using? But the reality of it is that especially today's furnaces are meant to be, they're energy efficient based on using them the way they're intended to be used, and shutting vents doesn't do that.
Right.
And, air gets backed up in there and it gets recycled and it gets put out where you want it, but the unit's actually working harder than it has to. So that's not really saving money at that point.
Correct. Right.
So again, want to make sure that we're taking care of it that way. Ceiling fans. If we've got ceiling fans, we also want them to be pointing up because we want them to grab the air that's coming down. But we also have some other things on ductwork. You want them to clean their ductwork, right? And do some things on that. Yeah.
So, you should consider having your ducts professionally cleaned. You can do that. You can also wipe them down yourselves to remove any dust or grime. This is going to help with the overall efficiency of your system. And it also helps reduce the amount of dust in your home. So if you do have people that are sensitive to dust or those, have allergies, that type of thing, this is something that is going to help them.
And I think that's something that people don't think about a lot. I think we changed the furnace filters, especially for newer furnaces. They put the reminder right on your thermostat, telling you when to do that. But nobody's tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, it's been a while since you took a rag up there and you clean, or down wherever your vents are, and you've really cleaned those out. And it's amazing how they really can attract dust.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while we're on the topic of heating, let's talk about fireplaces, because there's nothing as cozy as having a fire in a fireplace on a cool evening. But like any other home system, they really need to be taken care of properly. So if you're planning to use a fireplace, we really, really recommend that you have an annual cleaning done, prevent any fires. And this is one item that I think we'd both agree it's probably better to get an expert to do it. This is probably not something you want to tackle.
Yeah, you can do yourself.
Do it yourself. So let's get back on things they can do on their own, and that's windows and doors. There were a lot of heat leaks out, correct?
Yeah, you can lose a lot of heat and energy through your windows and doors. So make sure that you take a good look at them, take a good look over and see if they need some weather stripping, either replaced or new. If you have relatively new windows and doors, you probably don't have to deal with that. But if you've had your windows for a while or your doors, you may have to,
Yeah, I was just noticing the other night the side garage door. I mean, I can see it starting to, kind of, get off there. And in my head, I'm like, well, there's another.
There's a leak right there.
Yeah, there's another. Now, thankfully, it's not into my, house directly, but again, still something that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the attic, which seems like an odd thing to throw in here. But the attic plays an important role in the overall efficiency and airflow and whatnot of a home. What should folks be keeping an eye on when it comes to their attic?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that your screens are in place and that they're in good shape, again, to keep those critters out, right? You want to keep out the birds, squirrels, anything that might be trying to get into your home. And you want to make sure that your ridge vents are free of plants and debris and other objects. And also make sure that your insulation doesn't cover up those vents. Because if they do, then, what can happen is you can get ice dams on your roof. So you want to make sure that those are clear, for sure.
And we had you up on a ladder cleaning out the gutters and looking at other stuff. Yeah. So we don't want insulation blocking something to cause problems up there for you.
Absolutely, yeah. So check your ridge vents when you're up there too, And then make sure that your insulation has the vapor barrier facing down. Otherwise, it can trap moisture.
Okay.
So.
And again, a lot of these things, these are things that maybe you checked every now and then, but realistically, you gotta keep it out there. The changing season's also a good time to change batteries as well. We encourage you to always put fresh ones in the smoke detectors, the carbon monoxide detectors, and all of that. Usually people light candles, do a little bit more of that in the fall and winter. We want to make sure fire safety is there looking out for you. And then lastly is, I don't want to mention that S word, but we know it's coming. So what can folks do now to help themselves?
Yeah, so get your supplies now. Unfortunately, it is coming. So get your supplies, get your ice melt for your driveways and your sidewalks. Check your snow shovels, make sure they're in good shape. You don't want to get stuck with a snowstorm and, bad shovels. Also, check your snow blower. If it needs maintenance, do it now. Do it before the crowds get in there and you can't get your appointment to get your
get yours
blower.
in and get yours back home. I think Farmer's Almanac was saying that it's supposed to be pretty decent through the end of this year. I think it's January, February where the smell, it's supposed to really come and get us.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, thanks to Pam Belante, the marketing director with REMAX of Southeastern Michigan, for coming in and helping to share some fall maintenance tips. Your home, it's a big investment, so it makes sense to take a little time to properly maintain it so it works well for you in the coming months and avoid costly repairs. Coming up next, we have a solution for you. If you've got an extra bed, a couch, a dining room table perhaps that you no longer use, well, garage sales can honestly be a lot of work. Managing Facebook Marketplace can be a distraction. If you're looking for an easy and effective way to pass along some of your furnishings and help others at the same time, well, we've got the perfect option for you, and it involves the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show coming up here on 760 WJR. Welcome back to the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show. I'm your host, Jeanette Schneider. Are you preparing to sell your home and find that maybe you've got some furniture you no longer use, but it's in good condition and it could be useful to someone else? Or maybe you're just not going to move everything to the new home. Once you take the time and effort to identify the furniture you no longer need, it's kind of like, well, now what? What do I do with it? Well, the good news is we've got a great option for you that not only helps you move out the pieces you no longer use, but it does a lot of good for other people. Joining me is Robert Boyle. He is the executive director of the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan. Welcome, Robert.
Jeanette, so nice to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So I guess let's start off at the 30,000 level. What exactly is the Furniture Bank for those that don't know?
Well, if you think about your house, right? And if you think about your house with absolutely nothing in it, just a ceiling, floor, and walls, and imagine what it would be like to live in that house, sleeping on a floor, not having a table to share a meal, not having dressers, and everything's cluttered. It would not be a good existence. As a matter of fact, it would be a pretty awful existence. So there are hundreds, thousands of families that don't have any furniture or inadequately furnitured home. So what we do is we have trucks on the road and we collect furniture, beds, dressers, dining sets, living room furniture, and other items that are essential to really having a decent house and or home. And we then provide them to families who are living in poverty, transitioning from homelessness, working with child protective services, fleeing crisis or abuse. So this year we're on target to pick up somewhere around 17,000 items and distribute them to about 2,000 families or 6,000 people in total.
Wow. I mean, and this is such a perfect audience for you to be talking to, because I think one of the challenges we see on our end is people that aren't in poverty accumulate a lot of stuff. And then when it comes time to move, it's like, okay, I've got a house full of stuff and I've got a realtor telling me I need to get rid of some of this so that it shows more spaciously. And now becomes now what do I, do? And you mentioned that you're helping about, roughly 2,000, family units, if you will. And you went through, and this is a wide range. I mean, these are kids, these are adults. I mean, because it doesn't know demographics. You're helping everybody.
We are. We're targeting mostly families that are at or below the poverty level. Most of them have household incomes of $10,000 or less. And if you imagine if you have one or two children, what it would be like living on $10,000, you've got a pretty good idea of just the desperate circumstances that so many of our clients are in. But on the other end of the ledger, you said we are blessed. And, you probably appreciate, and so do your listeners, you don't realize how much stuff you have until it's time to move.
Exactly. Yeah. Or even think about moving, because that's kind of where we're like, maybe in a couple years, and I look around the basement, I'm like, where and how did we get all of this?
I can remember one time moving, and it was getting towards the end, and I was so frustrated just by packing things. I'm like, okay, I've used this toaster twice. I'm never going to use it again. I'm just going to get rid of it, right?
Right.
Because you don't want to be bothered with that, especially with the heavy items. I mean, sofas, dressers, dining sets. If you're moving into a new home, you may want new furniture because it will look a lot nicer in your new house. And if your items are in gently used condition or in decent condition, there are local families in need. Thousands of local families
which goes to your point.
I mean, can absolutely use them. Yes.
Let's go to the gently used, because you're not somebody's dumping ground for everything that they don't want. I mean, I'm assuming that you do have some standards as to kind of what you accept.
It's really important that the clients that we're serving feel really good about the items that they're receiving from us. Again, they've had a difficult enough time in life, and we want this to be an uplifting experience. We want their home to be a place where they feel rejuvenated, where they feel stable, where they feel rested. And so we will not take items that are stained or torn or structurally damaged. If Tabby or Fido have had their way had their way with it, a lot of folks have pet allergies, and so we want things that are what we say gently used condition, and many of the items, the overwhelming number of the items that we receive, are in fantastic shape. So good. If you have something that maybe it didn't get the use that you thought it would, or if it's still in good condition, we have a truck. We try to make the donation process really easy for people. You can just call us at 248-332-1300, or you could visit furniture-bank.org, and we'll bring somebody out and we'll pick up that item for you, and somebody who needs it will make good use of it.
Well, I mean, you think you're right, because for many of us, a lot of our furniture isn't beat up. I mean, for a lot of us, I mean, it's still very usable, and I think for a lot of folks, we really do want to help somebody else. We want it to go someplace that it's going to be used, and this is just a perfect pairing, of a lot of the folks that, we deal with on the selling and buying home side, and with your clients on their side, it's a perfect match. I think of where need and want come together.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Because, in addition to just the fact that you may have something that you aren't using anymore that somebody else absolutely needs, you can keep furniture out of a landfill. There's no reason why something that is in good condition that can be used by children and families who need it should end up at a dump or someplace where it's going to be buried underground for years and years and years and perhaps become an environmental burden on us many years from now. And that's another component of this. But yes, if you have items, beds, dressers, dining sets, sofas, other household furniture will come out. We try to make the donation process easy, and then we'll provide it out to a local family in need.
And I guess from that perspective, because you pick it up and you take it away, and then kind of the person that donated kind of sees the truck pulls off, and that's kind of their end of understanding the process. What happens on the other end? How do families in need find you? I mean, do they stumble across you by doing a Google search?
So we work with a network of about 100 health and human service partners. So you can't just come in off the street. You need to be referred by the Department of Health and Human Services, Lighthouse of Oakland County, Community Housing Network, Family Ministries here in the city of Detroit. And once you're referred, we know that you're working with other human service professionals, because furniture is only one piece of the puzzle. If you are looking to overcome an addiction or get your GED or some type of job training or get housed, you want to we like it when the people who are referred to us are working with other human service professionals. This way, the furniture they're getting isn't just to make them comfortable in the short term, which we absolutely want, but hopefully this is leading families and helping to lead families from some place of crisis to some self-sufficiency, where they're actually able to do more for themselves and help them become not so dependent and not so desperate. And again, have a job, make sure their kids are succeeding in school, make sure they have a healthy, stable place to live with some dignity. That's a very important component of what we do.
Well, and what I hear you saying is you're trying to make sure the whole person and the whole situation is being addressed, because while a bed is important, while, like you said, having a dining room table, I mean, how many of us grew up, meals around the dining room table at night? If you're a kid, that's so important, to you, and you want to help provide it, but you're also saying we want to make sure this is part of an overall circle, caring for the whole situation.
How's a child going to be prepared for school if they haven't slept in a comfortable bed, if they've slept on a floor? How's an adult going to go and nail down a job interview and keep gainful employment to support their family if they're not sleeping well at night or don't have an adequately housed home? It's something that many folks take for granted. When you think of basic needs, you always think of food, clothing, and shelter. But if you don't have a bed to sleep in every night and you're on a cold, hard floor,
it takes a toll quickly.
It does, absolutely.
Well, we're talking with Robert Boyle. He is the executive director with the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about this wonderful organization and how they're helping in some other new ways. And they've got a special comedy event coming up that you can be part of and join us as well. Should you ever miss an episode of our show, maybe you'll be attending their event coming up here in October, which also is on a Thursday night. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Just go to the REMAX realestateinsights.com page and click on the podcast tab. There you're going to find podcasts of all of our shows available for you, and you can listen at any time that works for you. Stay tuned for more of the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show coming up here on 760 WJR. You are listening to the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show, and we're talking about the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan. This nonprofit organization helps nearly 2,000 families per year across Metro Detroit, providing home furnishings, things like beds, sofas, tables, maybe some lighting. And for them to be able to serve families in needs requires donations and other financial assistance. And I've got with me Robert Boyle. He is the executive director with the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan. So before we get more into the organization itself, I want to make sure that we get a chance for you to talk about an upcoming event that you have coming, a fundraiser. Involves comedy, laughing, and some other stuff. Can you tell us what it's all about?
Amen to that. Keeping the fun in fundraising.
There you go.
The Furniture Bank on Thursday, October 17th, from 6 to 9 p.m., will be holding our 10th annual Comedy Night fundraiser at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, which is just a great venue venue for those of you or your listeners who have not had a chance to get out and experience a Comedy Castle. It is a great time.
It's been a long time since I've been there. I'm really looking forward, to coming to this event. So, talk to us a little bit about the headliner and what's all involved with your event.
Well, so we're really thrilled. Paul Mercurio is going to be our headlining act, and he is a super funny guy, and he has written and appeared on both Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart's show back when he was doing the show. He's had his own specials on Comedy Central, and is a writer for, I believe, Mr. Colbert right now. So just a super, super funny guy. And this is the first time we've actually had a comedian back.
Okay.
And, normally the folks that we have come out to entertain our guests are really, really funny. But it was pretty, it's an interesting story. They told me at the Comedy Castle that Mark wanted to meet me before his last gig. And so I go into the green room and he starts grilling me. And I wasn't sure what his deal was. But so he's actually an attorney by trade. So this comes very naturally to him. And so he's asking me all kinds of questions about where we get our furniture and where we get our clients and how we're distributing. And it turns out his family had a furniture store when he was growing up. So yes, he wasn't just obsessive compulsive, which is what I suspect he may have been at the time. But he's got a razor sharp wit. He integrated the audience into his act, and everybody loved him. And we're just thrilled that he's back.
That he's coming back.
Yeah, this is the very first time we've had a comedian back who we've.
So when you say you're having somebody back, it would suggest you've done this for more than once. So how often have you done this?
This is our 10th annual. My gosh, time flies, and so yeah, we're really excited. It's the Furniture Bank's 50th anniversary, and it is our 10th annual comedy night. So these are a couple of milestones for us. And again, we're really looking forward to having folks out. We've got great food that comes with the evening. We have a live auction with some great sports packages, golf packages, and other things. And we really do make it a fun event. The tickets are only $60.
Okay.
And they go to support, the work that we were talking about before, providing beds and essential home furniture to children and families in need. And you can get the tickets at our website, and that's at furniture-bank.org. And there's just a couple of quick links, and you can pick up your comedy night tickets and join us on the 17th from 6 to 9 and have just a great time.
Well, and I'll make sure that we put out on our Facebook and other social sites the link to the website, so it's very easy for folks to find it there. And again, if you're looking for something to do, it makes a great kind of coworker night out, on a Thursday night. It's a great time to do that. So
we actually have a number of groups that have come back year after year. We have sponsors, and then we have just other groups that they do it as kind of team building. They come out, and we've seen them for 10 years now. Hopefully, we'll see them in another 5 when we're doing it in 50. I'm getting ahead of myself.
So we talked a little bit about folks. It's easy for folks to call you if they want to donate furniture. But I guess once they've made that call, is it something where they have to make it available, easy for your folks to get to, out on the front porch or in the how does the pickup process work?
So we have a couple of ways that we go about doing this. You call us and we schedule a time when we're in your neighborhood, and we'll give you a window of time the day before. And then we'll call you when we're on our way out. We really want to communicate with people so they know exactly when we're going to be showing up. We have a free pickup service for items that are brought onto the porch or in the garage.
Okay.
And for only $30, anything that you're donating that we need for our core programs, beds, dressers, dining sets, sofas, we'll take out for $30.
Okay, so if I can't get it out, to the garage or the porch myself for $30, you'll come in and you'll do it.
Your sofa's out, your dressers are out, and as I like to say, no bad backs or bump moldings. Our guys are trained and they're really good at what they do, so we carefully remove items out of folks' homes. But if you're able to get it out and onto the porch or in the garage yourself, we will take it, and it will be no charge to you whatsoever.
So that, I mean, either option, pretty good depending on what your circumstances are. You really can't go wrong there. Now, I want to get to something that I think you're starting to get into some new territory with.
A little bit.
You rely on, obviously, furniture donations. And when we say furniture, obviously, what I think of furniture and what you think are essential items might be different. And you've said, beds, couches, dining sets, and all of that. But there are folks that have other items. Big china cabinets or entertainment centers or things of that nature. Do you take those, or you've kind of progressive way of going about this now?
So, one of the things that we're really trying to do at the Furniture Bank is offer new services, but figuring out ways to make our programs more sustainable so we can afford to do what we do as fuel prices go up, as truck maintenance prices go up, as everything goes up, right?
Right.
So you mentioned the china cabinet. Traditionally, our programs, when we would get calls, we wouldn't be able to accept china cabinets because, one, they are large, and most of the people who we are helping don't have large spaces, and two, most of the people that we are helping don't have good china to store a china
it's not a right
so they don't
fit.
need the china cabinet. What we're doing now is we are, for $75, we'll take that heavy china cabinet out of your home for you. And then if you mention the entertainment center, that would only be $50 to take an additional item out. And this is a way that we can help people get big, clumsy, difficult items out of their home. And we also, in addition to our core programs where we're getting referrals, we have areas where we can provide them out directly to other people in the community that can use these items. And again, they're not core items. That we don't consider them essential items, but they're heavy, and folks may want them out of their homes, and we provide people with the opportunity to get these out at a very affordable cost, and the proceeds help us do what we do.
Well, I was just going to say, and it's still helping. I mean, because you're helping someone get rid of bulky, heavy items, out of their house.
Absolutely.
At the same time, they are supporting the Furniture Bank. I'm guessing that Home Essentials is a year-round need, but every, I think, nonprofit has some seasonality, to their business. What are you in need of anything specifically right now, or do you know from history that the next few months you're going to need X?
We are always in need of beds, and we are one of the few charities, if not the only one, I think, in town that actually will take gently used beds. Again, we're not able to take items that are stained or torn or damaged in some way, but if your mattress is in decent shape, we can absolutely use it because there's a family here in town who absolutely needs it. We get a lot of calls from people who will test out mattresses with some of these, larger distributors, and they won't like it, and then they will give it to us, which is fantastic. But, sometimes you just want to get a new bed, and yours isn't in bad shape. So we'll take it.
We'll take it. So if you've got a bed that you're not using, Robert says Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan could definitely use it. Well, thanks to Robert Boyle, the Executive Director from the Furniture Bank of Southeastern Michigan, for coming in and sharing a little bit about his organization and the comedy night that they've got coming up. Also, thanks to Pam Belmonte from REMAX of Southeastern Michigan to talk about fall home maintenance tips. The seasons are changing, and we want to help you protect your home. A little bit of effort now can save you money down the road. And thanks to you, our listeners, we appreciate your tuning in and joining us. Join us again next Thursday at 7 p.m. for another edition of the REMAX Real Estate Insight Show here on 760 WJR.